We're excited to host this event and to see the terrific response from all of you who are joining us tonight. It has been an equivocal whirlwind the last 2 months for our new head coach, Buzz Williams, but he's assembled a terrific staff and an outstanding roster in that time span. Tonight, we'll hear from Coach Williams, who will give some remarks on the program and where we stand today, and then we'll hold about 20 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. Please remember, use your Q&A function on your screen to submit a question, and we'll pick through those as time permits. For now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you and bring to the floor your screen the head coach of your Maryland Terrapins, Buzz Williams. Coach.
How you guys doing? This is cool. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you. I can't see you. Hopefully you can see me. It sounds like I'm echoing. Is that right?
I think you're fine, Coach. I hear you fine on my side.
Okay, perfect. So my name's Buzz. I'll move a little bit so that you can see my family. That's my wife, Corey. We're renewing our vows on Saturday. 25 years on Saturday, our actual anniversary. I know some of you have already sent flowers. We don't have a house yet, so you can just send them to the office. Tuesday is our 25th anniversary. Zira is next to her. Zira gave her life to the ministry. She works for Young Life, and she's currently headquartered in Roanoke, Virginia. Some of you guys may live in Virginia. This is Calvin. Calvin is on track to graduate in August from Texas A&M. He has to pass 3 classes. Most people can pass 3 classes, but 2 of those 3 he's failed twice. So he still has some work to do. This is Mason. Mason just finished his freshman year in college. He entered the Division III transfer portal and decided to go back to where he entered the portal from. So he's going to stay in Texas as a college sophomore. That's Addison. I call her baby. 15 days ago, she turned 16. And I found out last night she's already backed into a car. So today is my 60th day as the head coach at Maryland. 2 months ago today was my press conference. To John's point, it's hard to describe or articulate exactly all that has transpired, but we are grateful. We are excited. We have been going 100 miles an hour. I'm talking to you from the back room of Grill Marks at the hotel, otherwise known as where I've lived the last 60 days. But I am flying back to Texas later this week for the vow renewal that's been planned for over a year. So thank you for joining us. I know your time is valuable, and we appreciate your support, whatever level of support that is. I'm going to spend the next 10 or 12 minutes just because I'm not good unless it's planned. So Josh is on the other end. Josh is on my staff. Josh has been with me. He's starting his 11th season. And so over the last month, as we were trying to figure out and finish recruiting and our team, the NCAA, some of you guys probably don't believe there's an NCAA. I would be in that group, but until it's official that there's not one, you still have to follow the rules. You're allowed to work 8 weeks in the summer. And so the summer, as you know, is more than 8 weeks. And so we are utilizing this week, not as a work week of the 8. We're utilizing this week to have what I'm calling orientation. And the orientation is not on the court. It's just spending time with our players. And we've spent the last month being very diligent in our thought processes and our decision-making matrix on what's important and how do we instill/install our program. And The off-season theme, this will be the first time in my 19 years as a head coach, there's been an off-season theme. Our off-season theme is compound UMD. And you guys are familiar with the word compound. You can use it in a variety of ways. And it's also, you can use it as a noun if you're into that. You can use it as a verb. So we started compound UMD orientation last night. We had two players move in on Tuesday, three on Wednesday, three on Thursday. That put us to eight, three on Friday. That put us to 11, and three on Saturday. That put us to 14. We actually have 15 on the team, but one is not from the United States, so he's not here yet. And we started this orientation last night, and then we're doing it. We had a little bit of progress on it again today, but just to give you a little bit of what the summary of what we're trying to accomplish this summer. We're trying to not only have an idea, but we're trying to create an identity. And so within our identity, we're using the word compound. And last night, we started with compound interest. As Albert Einstein says, it's the eighth wonder of the world. And so each player had a bag of pennies, and a penny a day doubled each day per month. And so we kind of played that out. Yesterday was June the 1st, so the timing worked out perfectly. Here's a penny. It's June the 1st. Tomorrow, Monday, today, actually. Here's double pennies. Tomorrow, let's double those two pennies, and we're at four. And we kind of played that out for 4 or 5 days as an object lesson. And then I offered a player $1 million for the month of June. And obviously, he took it. And then I showed him a video of, as you guys know, as adults, a penny a day doubled for a month is 5.4 million. But when you're only looking at one penny, two pennies, four pennies, eight pennies, 16 pennies, you don't realize that after 30 days, when that compound interest becomes 5.4 million, you don't realize that $1 million was a bad deal. So we taught them, after teaching them that example, we taught them what the definition of compound was. And then we explained not only does compound work as it relates to money, but compound works in every facet, in every area of your life. And then I'm big on learning how to listen and learning how to take notes. And so every player had their own diary, journal, so to say. And we decided that this was going to be our definition for compound in the off season. And how could we create habits? How could we create standards? How could we all of us are brand new to Maryland. Yesterday was our first ever team meeting as a program, staff, team. How could we make sure that we had compound growth in every area of their life? And so we showed them, as it relates to their game, how we could increase exponentially, the blue line being the status quo. We're the youngest team in the country. We're the youngest team in the Big Ten as it relates to experience at Maryland. And the blue line will not be enough for what we want to accomplish. We need to have compound growth, and we need our growth to exponentially grow in each category. And so we kind of use this not only from the video of a penny a day into 5.4 million, but how can we have real development that doesn't come from shortcuts? How can we continue to stack our efforts and our habits each day? And then how can we establish what that means? And so this is kind of a summary. All of this I'm just glancing on just to start our conversation over the next 40 minutes or so. But compound is 8 letters. We're allowed to work 8 weeks in the summer. As I mentioned, none of you guys probably know that there's 8 panels on a basketball. But if you were to C is the third letter in the alphabet, so let's count C as three. D is the fourth letter, the last letter in compound. Three is C and four is D. That makes sense to you. If you added up the word compound, it would equal 101. And so each week is going to be a panel, each week is going to be a theme. And we've spent time as a staff trying to think through not only what we're trying to accomplish in that week on the floor, off the floor, in the weight room, in the film room, in the classroom, but how can we assign something metrically so that we can measure it. And each week is a panel, each habit is a scene. And then within those goals, it's not just for 1 week. We're trying to continue to have compound growth. How can our consistency turn into ownership? How can ownership turn into mindset, et cetera, without explaining all of that? And so we're utilizing this week as orientation. And so I began to talk to them a little bit about what is the DNA of our program going to be. And they know DNA just like most of us do, that DNA is biological. And I was trying to explain that every program has DNA, but that DNA is not biological, it's behavioral. And as we know, and they do as well, DNA is the invisible code. That's what shapes who we are. It determines how we grow. It determines how we function. It determines who we end up being. But how of those of us that are going to be in the program, how can we create a DNA that's an invisible code of how we're going to behave? And those behaviors are not just the plays that we run or how we practice. Those behaviors are who we're going to be off the floor. And those behaviors, we want to transform their identity. We want it to transform what our identity will be as a program. And so this is kind of a brief snapshot of what we're doing this week. So last night was our first ever team meeting. And we have 5 team rules within our program, and each of those rules compound. Today we had our Compound 101 meeting, and today the team rule is related to truth. And so truth compounds. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to teach rules 2 and 3. Rules 2 and 3 are about time compounds. Team rule number 3 is about relationships. Relationships compound. And I don't want to overwhelm you with our team rules. It's not really about the rules. We're just using this week, not as one of the 8 weeks, but we're using this week as orientation to kind of set the foundation. All of us are brand new to Maryland. Yesterday, we set precedent. We created precedent. It was the first time all of us had been together in the same room. And so for all of us that are going to be on the team, I'm trying to create a foundational level from which we're going to function behaviorally. And then within each of the 8 weeks that we'll work, I think you saw that on a previous slide, but I kind of broke it down a little bit more. So I'll slow down just a little bit. But June the 8th, that's this Sunday, we will have a Compound 101 meeting. And this week's theme that we'll have content on, clips to watch, things to read, things to take notes on, will be about consistency. And the overall general message will be, how can we have a daily deposit? And that will be week 1 that starts on Monday, June the 9th. And so the calendar that you're seeing is the at the top. That's the month of June. Week one will be the week of June the 9th. Week two will be the week of June the 16th. Week three will be the week of June the 23rd. We will not work. We will not work the week of July the 4th, but we're going to take all 8 weeks and we're going to make sure that we're investing in who they are as young men. We're going to invest in who they are as students. We're going to invest in who they are as athletes. And we're going to use each of those words to teach those lessons from. And then we will work on the court, in the weight room, in the film room on Monday, Tuesday, on Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. We will try to be off every Wednesday. We will be off on Sundays until Sunday evenings when we have the Compound 101 meeting. And last night I kind of explained to them how not only the definition of compound, but I also explained to them 101. And instead of it being a zero, had them make a lowercase v, 101, one on one. Kids in this generation will say 1v1, whereas I can't see you, but I'm assuming some of you guys are in my generation and it's one versus one. Who are you today and who are you going to be tomorrow? And how can we build a good, solid foundation where we can have compound growth on who you are individually, on who you are as it relates to your habits, on who we want to be as it relates to our standards. And so our Compound 101 meetings will be on the Sundays prior to the 8 work weeks that we have. And I utilized this slide last night, and this is the last slide that I'm going to show you guys. Um, I was a little shocked, to be honest with you, on how this slide resonated not only last night, but since last night. What you think becomes what you say. What you say becomes what you do. What you do becomes who you are. Those 3 sentences probably had more of an impact than I was expecting, and transparently, maybe more than anything I had said up until this point. Our Barry Gossett practice facility is scheduled to be finished sometime in August. We can't wait to get in there. We're excited. The weight room is a little makeshift as of right now. All of our boxes in the offices will stay in the boxes until we can move there. But just to make sure that our language is succinct, we're not calling it the Xfinity Center or the practice facility. We're calling it the compound. We're not saying our habits are our habits. We're saying they're compounding actions. And then instead of kind of a class, our class, instead of it being English 101, it's Compound 101, and we're misspelling it on purpose. And it's COMPOUMD, as in Maryland. And then instead of talking about working on the court or working in the weight room or working in the film room, we're referring to our work as deposits. And it's just to kind of create some of the language we use in the off season, that we want to make sure that everything that we're doing is compounding, that it's exponentially growing. And we're trying to create and reprogram the identity that we want to have, not only just for season number one as it relates to our group, but also for the future. And so we're trying to create a strong foundation. And this is kind of a summary. It's just kind of a glimpse, because I know these are special people that are on the Zoom. And so I just wanted to, instead of just opening it up to randomized questions, I wanted to kind of give you a glimpse of some of the things that we're planning on doing. Some of this is in real time. Team meeting number one yesterday, and then Compound 101 meeting number one today. And then we'll have meeting number two tomorrow. So some of you guys are probably familiar with social media, and that's the hashtag that we're talking about internally, just because that's the language our guys are speaking. So I just kind of wanted you guys to see that. I'm sure I'm supposed to turn it back over to John or Kirby right now, but I appreciate your time. I'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk about over the next 20 minutes or so, and I appreciate it.
All right. Uh, so Coach, I'm seeing the questions, right? They're being submitted kind of to
Pick a
me.
good one.
I picked a great one for the first one.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yep.
All right, this is from Alan, and I apologize if I mess up anyone's name. I'm going to say Alan Trost, Trost. He says, Mazel Tov for renewing your vows. Where do I send NIL money to your program?
Can you thanks for your willingness to invest. What did you say the first words were, John? I don't know.
Mazel Tov.
What does that mean?
Congratulations, Hebrew.
I like that.
So,
We need that as a hashtag on Saturday. Hey, can you fly to Houston and drive to Conroe? It's outside somewhere at some fancy place, according to my wife. Thank you. I'm excited. I'll be transparent with you. Not that we have time to talk about my family and or does anybody care, but both of my parents were divorced when I was 6 months old, and my wife's parents were divorced when she was uh, young. And so this is a really cool, almost the greatest achievement of my life personally. Um, my two sons will be groomsmen, and our two daughters will be bridesmaids. And we were scheduled to do this at year 20, and the pandemic happened, and we were on lockdown in Texas. And so I told Corey, my wife, well, we'll just do it at 25. Let's work to get to 25. And so we started planning this last summer. And of course, like typical husband slash coach, I've not had as much involvement as I should. But for the last 60 days, I've had little to none. And so um, I'm trying to gear my heart and my mind. My children are really excited. And I do anticipate that Saturday will be a special day. Um, if you want to give money, do not ever feel like you have to give money. But Kirby Mills, who I think is on here, would be the person to talk about. I don't even know the mechanics of it, to be honest. Um, but we're open to anybody that would like to donate to our NIL.
and Alan, we've got several folks on this call who I'm sure will be reaching out to you. And if anyone else, please reach out to our advancement office and they will take care of you. And also, just as a reminder, season tickets are always a great way to support the program.
Hey, Kirby, can you text me those words that were Hebrew, or John, you can
Yes,
later when
I
we
will.
hang up? That's pretty
Yes.
cool.
So, all right, Coach. Kind of the next one. We've talked a lot, kind of about what you've been working with the players, um, but we had a question come in that, and I'm just going to paraphrase it, that you and your staff have a significant amount of experience together. Why is that important to you, to have that sort of cohesion at the staff level? And can you just kind of talk about what they mean to you and your program in general?
Yeah, thanks. Just to give a little bit of context, last year at Texas A&M, we had 107 years of experience with me. And I didn't mention it in my remarks earlier. If you ride on the bus that I ride on, that bus is called Team Bus One. And there are certain prerequisites that come with riding on Team Bus One. And last year, of the adults who rode on Team Bus One, there was 107 years of experience, no matter where Team Bus One originated from. University of Maryland is my fifth head coaching job. And um, as of today, it's not on Twitter, but as of today, that number is 96. And so last year, we had 62 years more experience than anybody in the country on our staff. as it relates to experience with the head coach. I'm 52 years old. Last season was my 18th year as a head coach. I'll be 53 when this season starts in my 19th year as a head coach. And I'm not officially through hiring my staff. But as of this minute, there's 96 years of experience that is on campus with us. Now, they have figuratively all sat in a different seat on Team Bus One. But how I would answer that question, John, is I want to lead the nation in the lowest transfer portal rate for old adults and young adults. The last 3 seasons, we had the lowest transfer rate in the Southeastern Conference. Obviously, we have 15 new players at Maryland. And so the only time I have seen them is when they came on their visit here. So we're at ground zero in regards to the work that's in front of us as it relates to relationships, as it relates to style of play, as it relates to everything. But having staff continuity, we want to make sure that we model the behavior. And in my opinion, the best way to model the behavior of what you want your program to be has to come from your staff. And so, in order to have a low transfer rate, I think you have to have a low transfer rate with your staff. And so, it's not for everybody. And I'm not even saying it's the right thing to do, but that's very important to me. And I'm just as proud of who our staff is as I am our players. And to that point, 7 of our staff members were once students in our program, which I know this sounds a little country. The best way to grow to have success is to grow your own. And so I'm kind of proud of who our old adults were when they were young and their path from young to old.
But I think that too is a testament to the culture you build, right? If they buy into it as a player, they're going to espouse it greater as a coach. Is that accurate?
I believe that. I try not to talk about myself, particularly from an arrogant or egotistical lens, but um, I think there's a, I think there's a lot of correlation between um, making sure that your words and your life match up. And I think when most people in athletics say family, and they don't have any former students on their staff, then what kind of family is that? And so I'm proud of my family, and I don't mean that from an obsessive standpoint, but I do mean it from an ownership standpoint. I'm very thankful for who they are. I've known them since they were students, before they got married, before they have children. And I think the example that they are to our current young adults on Team Bus One, I think that gains traction immediately with young people in this generation when there's an example for them to follow, not just words.
So on that retention part with the players, kind of segues into a question sent in from Carol Hamburger, who's a 30-year season ticket holder. Um,
Thanks, Carol.
with incoming freshmen and to a degree, I think, right, you had 2 freshmen at Texas A&M who came with you who redshirted last year.
Yep.
How do you work with freshmen to develop them as players, for them to feel valued so that they want to stay and not hit the portal as we've talked about, like a lot of freshmen might. But you had 4 guys from A&M want to come here with you, and then 2 freshmen who basically redshirted last year.
Yeah, again, I don't I'm uncomfortable talking about myself, Carol, but I think the question is apropos. We had 2 players that didn't play for us last year who signed a contract to come to Maryland and had never played. And then we had 2 freshmen, or excuse me, then we had 2 others who are entering their last year. All 4 of those players had already signed to come to Maryland before my press conference was over. So Um, I think the answer is most succinctly stated by the relationship. And I think the relationship starts with what we discussed today in our Compound 101 meeting, and that's truth. Those two young men that are going to be redshirt freshmen at Maryland, they have unique life stories. I don't know how good they're going to be because they've yet to put on a college uniform, but I have great belief in who they are. Do I think that they're first team all conference players? No, ma'am, I don't. Do I think that they fit the fabric of what I want our culture to be about on and off the floor? Absolutely. Um, their stories are unique, just like the two stories of Solomon Washington and Pharrell Payne who are coming here. But as you notice, I've never said anything publicly about the four that are following us. But what I would tell you is there that is a known thing within the basketball industry that every player that had eligibility at Texas A&M followed us here, and they signed before they ever took a visit to Maryland. And without putting words in their mouth, some of those players, if you said China or College Park, Maryland, it would be the same location. So um, I think it always, Carol, like life, it always has some component of relationship. And so we try to make sure that what we tell our players is the truth. We try to make sure that what we receive from our players is the truth. And then we try to live within that truth and have growth and build from that.
All right, Coach, we're getting close to our end time here, but this one came in from Quinn Phelps, and you have a 1 in 15 chance to answer this. Which player do you think will surprise fans the most this year?
Oh, geez. Josh, you have any guesses? That's who I was going to say. Josh is on the other end here because he has to help me with technology. I haven't used email since 2014 and I don't have a computer. So all of this stuff is like I only do it when Josh sets it up. But David Coit is from New Jersey and he's a transfer from the University of Kansas. And so Josh is on the other end. I said, Josh, who would you say? And he said, Diggy. Diggy is David Coit's nickname. And I'm not saying that you guys know me, but very rarely do I call anybody by their name. My name is not Buzz, even though you probably think that it does, but my parents don't call me Buzz. So most of our players and managers and coaches have nicknames, and David Coit, his nickname is Diggy. And so Josh Chambers' vote is Diggy. So I'm gonna second the motion that Diggy will be the most surprising player.
Okay, let's see. I know you've talked about this some before. This one came in from Jeffrey Yahiro. Um,
How do you see all these questions, John? Is this
I,
just like this
I've
is
got
like,
the special. I've got the special sauce. Julia is feeding these to me. So, um,
huh?
let's see. You're known for your hard-nosed defense and can see the roster will be full of great defenders. Uh, can you talk about having capable and elite shooters on the roster and what offensive style can we expect to see?
Yeah. What was that person's name?
Uh, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, I think it's to be determined if we have elite and or great and or good shooters. We'll spend the first 3 of the 8 weeks that we can work trying to ascertain the skill set of our players. I do think from a defensive standpoint, I am somewhat convicted by how we play, but I'm not so belligerent in those beliefs that we won't make adjustments. If you're asking this question, you probably have some basketball acumen. I don't know our ball screen coverage yet. Ball screen coverage always dictates how you play on the weak side. Until I have a better feel for what our best ball screen coverage is, will I know exactly how we're going to play defensively. But conceptually, I do believe in how we play. Um, it doesn't matter what we did last year, but we were a top 10 defense last year nationally. And a lot of it was the players, it was not the coach. But I do kind of believe in the philosophical part of it. We're not going to do anything as a team in summer session one. I want to spend summer session one kind of evaluating who is on our team. I know them only from their visit and from conversations on the phone and in person and Zoom. I don't know their game. And so I don't want to go too fast and begin to install or instill like I have all the answers as a coach when the answers may not be best for the players. I think the job of the coach is to determine what's best for the players, and those end up being the best coaches. I'm not in that category yet, but I am close enough in that group that I realize that it doesn't need to be only my way. So I don't know exactly how we're going to play offensively. I have some thoughts. Me and our quote offensive group, we meet once a week. And I also do the same with our defensive staff. But we're going to kind of use the next 3 weeks to kind of determine a base from which we can begin to teach in second summer session.
Okay, Coach. I think that is right up to our time limit here.
How many people are on this? Because all I've seen is you, John. Is
Well,
there any way like you can open it up and I can see everybody and take a screenshot and send it to my children and go, look, I'm doing a Zoom with X number of people.
yeah, I can't.
I know who can, because it's not me.
Well, no. Let's see.
Like,
We
can you click a button where I can see somebody and they can ask a question?
I
Or is it
don't
just me and
think
you
the way
talk?
that I don't think the way that this is configured through Zoom that's allowed because it was such a larger scale event.
I know. So how many people does your screen say are on?
I think the max it got up to was right around 600.
Golly, that's
So we
so
had
cool.
1,100 register and right around 600 popped in.
That's pretty cool.
I could be making all of this up, and you and I have just been chatting this whole time.
I know. And that's what I'm afraid of. And that's what I'm trying to have evidence that there was something other than John, Buzz, and Kirby and Josh on this Zoom.
No, we had 600 people. We had over almost 200 questions actually get submitted. So if I did not get to your question, I'm sorry. We'll obviously, as the summer months go on, do more things to introduce the staff and the players.
And
Um,
how did these people get invited?
all through Jordan Luby and Kirby.
Wow. So you just showed up?
They asked me.
I'm going to jump on here to bail John out for a second.
There you go. Yeah, I was
So,
gonna say I
And
got
can we
invited
see all these
because
people or what?
no, we can't see all these people. But I assure you that they all know you're here because they all want to give us lessons on Mazel Tov and breaking glass and all that. So we'll start working on those things here shortly. We'll get you fully indoctrinated.
Yeah, I like the Mazel, the
Tov,
Hebrew word.
TOV.
Yeah, Mazel TOV.
All right.
Somebody texted me. One of the people on here who has my number texted me, Mazel Tov is said to congratulate weddings, birthdays, engagements, graduations, bar mitzvah, good news, and more. What does Mazel Tov mean? I'm on it,
There you go.
but I still don't know how many people are on there, Kirby.
We're at 528 and they're signing off rapidly after that. So we're closing up shop here.
Coach, why don't
Thank
you
you guys,
give?
man. Go Terps.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.